Welcome to Planetary Gig Talk, Tales of Music and Magic. I'm your host, Jefferson Glassy, Chief Spiritual Dude of the Planetary Gig Society, whose mission is creating unity through music. And today we're back in Studio One, the worldwide headquarters of the Planetary Gig Society. And we have a great conversation coming up because it's another one of those unique talks about things about music that you didn't necessarily think about, or you don't necessarily think about when you think about music. But very happy today that a great friend and yoga teacher, whatever, you can tell me what you people call you, Ms. Shauna Simon, who is the owner, proprietor, guru, whatever, of Simon Says Yoga Studio here in Bethesda, Maryland. Shauna, thanks very much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
So, you do run this yoga studio, and how did you end up doing that?
Well, I started practicing yoga in the 70s.
That's been a while.
It's been a while. And back then people thought we were kind of weirdo freaks. And now we're pretty cool.
Pretty cool, that's right. Yep.
But I've been practicing ever since. And I used to teach music in elementary school for many years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. And then I decided to kind of do more teaching of yoga. And the place I was teaching was not very physically nice, and I got a lot of interruptions and such because it was a dual-use space. Mm-hmm. And so I went looking for a space that I could use. And I found a space that was kind of expensive, so I decided to see if I can find some other teachers, and it became a yoga studio, and that was 7 years ago.
7 years ago you've been running Simon Says. But you've been doing yoga for a long time, but I usually ask in these podcasts about when music came into your life. So when did music come into your life, and did that tie in with yoga, or I guess music maybe was first and then yoga later, and we're going to end up talking about some of the chanting and singing that you do and playing in your yoga. But when do you first remember music and what it meant to you? Is it when you were younger?
Yeah, in my family, music was very important. My mother used to sit around and play the piano, and we'd all sit around and sing, which was really nice. My dad used to sing in his shows at his office. They had big shows because he worked for a big company, Bulova Watch Company, and they'd have big shows, and he would sing. My sister went to the High School of Music and Art, so it was a musical family. So, I mean, I can't remember exactly when it started, but for sure when I was little, we would sing a lot. And I loved music and took piano lessons and eventually went more deeply into it. I definitely didn't hear about yoga when I was a kid, but when it came into my life, it did have a big connection to music, because when I first went to a yoga class, it was kind of a strange experience, but the teacher asked me if I would play the guitar for chanting because there was no one else there who could do it. This was back in the 70s, so things were a little informal. Uh-huh. And basically I just started playing chants, and that was cool because it got me more deeply into music and into yoga, which was a nice combo.
Wow, that's pretty wild. So you did younger, just to round out the history. You played piano for a while. Did other instruments, or? Yeah,
I actually have a degree in piano.
You have a degree in piano?
Yeah,
wow.
I do.
I learned so many interesting things on this podcast.
And when I was a high school senior, my parents asked me what I wanted for my graduation. I said a guitar, and they got me a typewriter. So there you go. But then I decided to buy my own guitar.
Typewriter's kind of musical, the old-fashioned one.
It does have a rhythm to it, yes. But I decided to buy my own guitar. So I was around 16. I was young for high school senior, but in my 16th year somewhere is when I started playing guitar. And I also play soprano, alto, tenor, and bass recorder.
Wow.
Which is unusual, but yeah.
Were you in bands playing or groups, combos, as a friend of mine calls it?
Not so much. I was always in chorus in school. Mm-hmm. But when you played piano, you really, weren't part of a band or an orchestra. So I kind of wish I was, but I wasn't really. And then I was pretty young when I got into a yoga ashram, like 17.
17.
So I kind of checked out of all the regular things that people do.
Uh-huh. Where did you grow up again?
New York.
In New York.
Queens.
And then where was the ashram?
The ashram was in upstate New York in New Paltz, where I went to college.
Ah. So you went to college and you found out about it. Is that what happened?
About yoga?
About the ashram and all
yes.
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, so that's pretty cool. So a lot of folks, they may start playing music young, then they get in bands and blah, 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 blah. You kind of didn't do that. You really did focus on music a lot growing up, and you knew music, but you had this other path that took you into the ashram. Mm-hmm. And you said there was a connection when you were asked to play. Looking back on it or thinking of it, are there connections with music and yoga, the meditation and all? It seems like there would be somehow.
Yes, for sure. So mantra, the word mantra means kind of repetitive words or message. And that can be speaking or singing, chanting, so to speak. And there's a lot of that in yoga, probably less traditionally in studios because not everybody's open to that idea. But I do chant in all my classes. I sing and play the guitar during our relaxation time. And sometimes I invite people to sing with me after the relaxation, which is nice, a very powerful experience, actually. And so I also play music during my class. I don't personally play music. I play recorded music.
Yeah.
But, soft music. And sometimes I bring in other things that are fun and a little lighter that are familiar songs to many of us. And there are many teachers who don't use music because there's actually in yoga something called sankalpa, which is where you kind of retreat from your senses, so to speak. And that's like one of the teachings that when you're doing yoga, you focus on the practice, the breathing, being mindful, movement, etc. But some of us feel that music helps to kind of help us to focus. If the music is instrumental or just light, where you're not being distracted by the music, but it's helping you to just be in the moment and focus on what you're doing and feel calm. So to me, that's really important. People come in and they really want to feel calm besides moving. And a lot of times, soft music can create that atmosphere. Well, I'm hoping that you'll get to be able to play a little bit and share that with us, but I'm curious about the ashram. So you lived there for how long? 20 years.
20 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's more than like a week. It's not like a short definitely. Vacation or something. And so, what was that like? Music aside, or music. You must have liked it, or you wouldn't have stayed for 20 years. Well, it was at a time in the early 70s when a lot of gurus were coming from India, or people coming from India to share the yoga and meditation experience, so to speak. And it was a way to kind of, I guess, reject or separate from the traditional way of life where there were many things that I didn't want to be involved in. And it kind of worked for me for a while, where we lived in a community and we supported each other with our lifestyle, practicing yoga and meditating and eating healthy. We're vegetarians and things like that. I brought my kids up in the ashram, which was really a nice place for them to be as well. Nice.
Only till they were 7 and 11.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was very powerful experience. In the morning, we'd wake up, we would meditate, do yoga for 2 to 3 hours every day. We had our own little businesses where we would work together, vegetarian restaurant, things like that. We'd teach yoga, and it was a lovely lifestyle. But, it also has its drawbacks, so to speak.
It sounds wonderful. So, just to tie in a little bit, my first wife was into TM, had followed Maharishi around Europe in like 76, 79.
Mm-hmm.
And she wanted me to learn to meditate, and so I did. And I meditate most days for a few minutes. But I did some of the extra super duper courses, learned the cities, got my flying badge and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sort of familiar with that. It's very, whole, sort of, there's a contentment. It's really, I don't know, very wonderful. So it must have been a great time. But it was there that they asked you to play the music, play along with the meditation, I guess, primarily, or the...
Yeah, a lot of the meditations in the ashram I lived in were chanting meditations, less silent meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Some silent, but more chanting, which is unusual these days in the traditional way people teach meditation. So I used to write chants, well, I guess I still do, and, use some of the words from the Sanskrit, from yoga, and some English. And so, the music was definitely a big part of our practice.
And when you play, you're playing, I think you mentioned you're playing 2 chords, and the purpose is, to have people be calm, sort of peaceful.
Yeah, I do play more than 2 chords sometimes, but often what I was trying to get out was that the chants are simple. So that we're not having to remember a lot of things when you're chanting. You want to be able to say the words. And also I believe chanting, brings you to a really quiet and focused place. The repetition, for one thing, can help you to kind of quiet the mind of all the lists and all the things that we're planning and wishing we did or didn't do. So when you chant, you kind of clear all that out. And sometimes it's in English, sometimes it's in Sanskrit, and you may or may not know what the words mean. Most people want to know. But it's more about, just kind of getting into a zone, so to speak.
Into the moment.
Into the moment, exactly, present moment. And it's a pretty nice thing.
Yeah, well, when you were telling me about that, I was really intrigued, and so I guess it would be interesting to hear a little bit about what it sounds like. You play guitar with a little bit of singing, right?
I also play harmonium, which I didn't bring today. I didn't think about that. But that's probably a little more traditional from the Indian culture to play harmonium. Little organ with the pump.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I tend to choose the guitar more often. I'm comfortable with that. And so my chants may not be sounding to others like the traditional chants that they may have heard of.
Yeah, well, so it'd be great if you could play a little bit. This podcast has not been about musical performances, because everybody could play, but there's other venues for that. And the only other playing that we've had was our friend Jane Callan's body tambura, because nobody could really imagine that unless they heard it.
Yeah, it's really unique.
We'll just give you a little bit of time and show us, or let us hear a little bit about what this is about.
Yeah, so the chant I'm going to do is, the words are Namaste, 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 Namo. And basically Namaste actually means I bow to you. Now in America, we don't really like that idea so much, but another way to say it is that I see the beauty in you, I see the light in you, and you see it in me as well. And then Namo, again, kind of I bow. I see that beauty that's within you and within me as well. And then I also have a few English words: peace, peace to all. And the Sanskrit words along with that are Shanti, Om. Shanti means peace, and Om we could talk about for a really long time, but sometimes
Right.
it's, kind of a universal sound that connects all of us, is one way to say it.
Nice. All right.
Namo, namaste, namaste, namo, namaste, 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 namo. Shanti, Shanti, Om. Peace, peace to all. Shanti, Shanti, Om. Peace, Namo, Namaste, 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 Namo.
Well, that was beautiful. I'm just all chilled out over here.
Thank you.
Very nice. And did you play while people are doing their yoga moves, or is it more meditation, or how does
Well,
that?
I don't personally in my class because I need to be
moving
myself, right? But during the relaxation, while everybody at the end of class is lying down for about 5 minutes, and we lower the lights and everybody's just relaxing, kind of letting all their efforts kind of integrate into their body and mind and heart and just take a break, so to speak. And then when they come out of that and sit up, depending on the group and the time and the day, I might ask everybody if they'd like to join in, and I'll sing again, maybe for 3 minutes, and people can sing or not.
Well, from my experience with the meditation, and I did a lot of meditating, where to be 20 minutes plus the cities, and you'd be meditating for 45 minutes or something maybe, or doing some few little not exercises, but movements. The resting part was always the best.
Yeah, it's a favorite.
You get to lie down,
Yeah.
and it's just so relaxing,
Blissful, yeah.
Yeah, blissful, and that music is that way.
And also, there are classes where people will play live music during the entire class, where the teacher is not playing, but someone else is playing. And often when my son comes to visit from Austin, he'll play during the whole class. He'll play without chanting. And it's really lovely. And then at the end, we'll chant together.
It's very nice.
But
So
that's a possibility.
from your perspective, now having been meditating, doing yoga, playing music for most of your life, are there connections that you see, or relationships, or I don't know, similarities, but points of intersection with music and with yoga and meditation, and that, or how would you explain what you might think about that?
Well, music's really powerful, as you know, and sometimes I would call it the language of the soul or language of the spirit. I think everybody relates to music in some way or another. We may not all agree on how, but I think it touches all of us in some way. And it's something that maybe people use to feel calm when they're feeling worried or upset. That's what they turn to. Or to bring joy and comfort. And yoga as well brings us comfort and peace and strength. And so in that way, they're connected. And as I was saying earlier, the chanting itself, the mantra, the repetition, it's kind of what we do in yoga too. We repeat a lot of poses. We do them over and over again. And it kind of brings us into this state where we're not really thinking. We're just being. And we're experiencing what we're experiencing, which is hopefully something good.
Yeah, so you've seen, I don't know, maybe thousands of people who have been meditating, doing yoga,
Yeah.
and that, with or without music, does have profound effects, doesn't it? I mean, how do you describe that when people ask you about it?
The effects of yoga and meditation.
Yeah.
Have another hour. Yeah, with or without music, for sure. Meditation, hopefully brings us to a place where we feel quiet, at least for a little bit, and helps us to find our center and our integrity. It gives us tools for anxiety, and same with yoga. People come because they want to feel strength and they want to feel a sense of balance and flexibility. But ultimately, whether they come for that or not, they're also going to gain a sense of focus and peace and feeling centered. And I see it all the time. People thank me every day for what we have for them to try at the studio. And I've experienced it, personally, and also, like you say, seeing many, many people who experience it as well.
And what you're describing about yoga and meditation and sort of what it does and centering and bring you to the moment, to a place, a lot of that sounds like what music does. So
Exactly, yeah.
I guess, they could have some similarities objectively, but in fact, it seems the purpose is, and the effects are very, very similar.
Yeah. And of course, when you meditate or play music, it's not always peaceful, of course.
Right.
Other things come up.
Yeah.
And that's okay too. And still it gives you a real experience, if not a peaceful one.
Yeah. Another pathway to the center, to the place where there is a silence, or
your core.
Kind of in a oneness, maybe, in a sense too. Well, I know I should do more yoga, and I do meditate most days. Probably meditate a little longer, but music, yoga, meditation certainly are things that, I guess if more people were doing them, we'd probably be better off.
Well, of course, in my opinion, yes. I also think that a lot of people don't really know what it can be, and they have some previous expectation about what yoga is, so they don't do it because they don't feel that they can be flexible enough or whatever it is that they have in their mind. But yoga is really for everybody, as meditation, any age, any body. So, yeah, hopefully if people want to practice it, they can find the right person to share that practice with, so that they feel safe and strong and feel great.
Okay, well, it sounds wonderful. So, Shauna, thanks really very much for taking the time to come over to share a little bit of the music and the chanting, and I'm going to look forward to hearing more of that, hopefully. So, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Great. Shauna Simon, everybody. You've been listening to Planetary Gig Talk, Tales of Music and Magic. I'm your host, Jefferson Glassy, Chief Spiritual Dude of the Planetary Gig Society. We talk with musicians and others about the power of music and how we can use music to help create a better world. Please check out our website, www.planetarygigs.org, for information about some of the organizations promoting music and musicians, resources about the power of music, books, movies, articles, including new research on music and the brain. We welcome your support. The Planetary Gig Society is a Section 501c3 charitable organization, and you can donate on the website. You also can receive a free email signature block demonstrating your support for Planetary Gig Society. Please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Planetary Gigs. And we want to thank fabulous musician and teacher Eric Weinberg of Little Eric Studios for the Planetary Gig Talk music titled Chill Kid, It's Saul. So please check out Planetary Gig Talk on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Subscribe and hear all the upcoming episodes. Thanks very much.